connection. Hello, everyone. Hi. Hi, San Diego. Hi. Hello, Philippines. Australia. Good morning. Well, hello, everyone. Hi. Welcome to another episode of the Iman Show. My name is Iman. I will be your host for almost next 90 minutes. And today we are going to talk about relationships. As you already know, or you will definitely know, we have been talking about relationships a couple of times before, and we will talk about it even more as one of our routine topics because it's important. It's not just romantic relationships, but in general, there are different aspects of a relationship that could be okay, could be tricky, and somehow we all need to learn every day. And of course, this week is a week before Valentine's Day, and everyone probably people are thinking about all this romantic relationships, Valentine's Day, this day, that day, and somehow we might definitely be more vulnerable when it comes to relationships. So why not? Let's talk about this topic tonight. It's been a long day here in Toronto, and hopefully we can have some amazing guests tonight to talk about relationships and learn from them. And yeah, here we go. So let's start with here on Instagram. Good evening. Hi. Thank you. Thank you, Tanya.
Hello.
Hello.
I was ready to go to bed. Why did you always live so late?
This globe is kind of like a globe, as you know, and the way that it turns, this is how it works. Sometimes it's a suitable time for me, which is not the best time for you. But anyway, so thank you for joining. Anyway, how are you doing
Thank you
tonight?
for. Yeah, I'm good. I wanted to say hello, and I just learned now what's Valentine's Day soon. Thank you for reminding me.
hmm Okay, thank you. So since you're here now, let us know what is your uh, let's say experience, advice, or input when it comes to relationship. What is something like, let's talk about do's and don'ts.
Oh my God, I'm the worst person to give advices, but I will say, I will
At
say
least you
what's
know that. You
right.
know that. At least you know that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, don't listen to me, guys. Just listen to me as
So
we have
let's
done
let's
that.
let's let's look at this way. Why do you
Yes. So,
why do you think you are not a good person to consult when it comes to relationships?
um, because I always fail any relationship.
hmm
So I can tell you what not to do.
Okay, that's good.
But
That's good.
yeah,
Continue.
yes. So as a, my experience, I would say I always attract predators. No, it's a big word, but it's a manipulator. And I think a lot of girls have this problem where if they are too nice, too kind, you always attract someone who want to take advantage of your kindness. If that makes sense.
There must be a pattern anyway. So when you attract manipulators all the time, or toxic people, or narcissists, or like there must be a pattern. Have you ever thought about it? Have you ever thought that, to take responsibility for what's happening around?
Of course, of course. So I have how we call it a condition where it's neuro how we call it neurodiversity. So I always attract, and it's even clinician can validate this. It's scientifically people like me always attract. It's there's research behind it, and it's a pattern that's always happened for a lot of people like me.
All right. So hopefully we can disturb your sleeping pattern tonight even more, and you stay online and watch and listen to my other guests, and hopefully we all can learn something tonight. Maybe it would be helpful.
Of course, but again, the advice I can give that I've learned so far, it's to be honest, communication. When we want to be with, building a project with someone, both need to have the same objective and a clear future, what they want, and not to lie to themselves first. And also, if you love yourself, then you can give love. That's the basics.
Okay.
I'm seeing you taking notes.
Yeah, I'm writing down. Of course, there are topics that definitely we need to talk more about them. But yeah, so self-love and communication.
Yes, and be happy. And also, there's a lot to say. So I will leave someone else bring other ideas. I wanted just to say a quick hello, and I will not speak for long, or I will wake up fully. I still hope to see.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for joining again. So I hope that you enjoyed the rest of the talk tonight. And yeah, again, make sure you join back on the game night. The game night is fun.
Oh, when is it? Yeah,
weekends.
one of the-
Yeah, weekends.
Is it Saturday?
Saturday and Sunday evening.
Okay. Well, now it's 2 a.m. here, so I'm gonna watch your live tomorrow.
Okay. Good morning.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. All right. So that was interesting to start with. The best way to learn something is to study others. Either they accomplished or they failed. They both can teach us so much. And the best kind of experience is the experience that you get without spending much of your time, your energy, your life. And this is exactly why we're here. That's why I prefer to talk to more experienced guests tonight, and we can learn all. Oh my God, I have a superstar tonight here. Yeah, so she's coming up with so much to share. Hi.
Hey.
Hey, how are you doing? Thank you for joining me again.
I am so happy to join you today. How are you?
Great, thank you so much. Since we have guests, like viewers who cannot see you, please introduce yourself first again.
Okay, so my name, the short introduction. My name is Dea.
The full introduction, please.
All right, so my name is Dea.
Mm-hmm.
I am a women's empowerment coach and host of Love Most, the podcast with Dea. I'm also a mom of five, a grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
and I am twice divorced. So relationship is something that really interests
If
me.
you want to learn something, guys, take notes, pick up your weapons here, and start writing down. And thank you, Dea, for joining tonight.
You're so welcome. So I
Okay.
didn't really have anything prepared. I saw that you had a relationship, and I thought, what can I say about relationships?
This is you don't need to be prepared. I know that, like, because you are doing this professionally with your podcast, with your guests, with your talks, but the fact is that what you do is natural. So you can just sit by, like, let's say we are sitting around a campfire and you're talking. It could be something like organically. That
Yeah,
is the best way.
possible. Usually impromptu is best for me. I can sort of tap into the emotion in the moment. So the first thing I wanted to say about relationships is that, for me, the journey has been interesting because it was when I was divorced the second time that it sparked my interest of why was it that it didn't work.
Mhm.
And the question that I had to ask was, I had to stop placing blame, number one, and I had to ask myself, what was my role in my pain? And when I asked that question, a lot of people said, wow, you're going to really do this? I mean, it wasn't your fault. I said, well, your role in your pain has very little to do with blame. Actually, has nothing to do with blame. It only has to do with how you chose to take part in that exchange called relationship.
Just a second, please. Would you please leave a comment so I can pin your comment, because I know that next minutes will be so interesting and people want to know who is this woman. Where can we find her? So let me just pin your comment so people can find you easily.
Did I leave you want me to leave a comment?
Yes, please. So I
what
can
do you want me to say?
just yeah. I mean, you just say hi, because then people can find you. My viewers can find your account, so
okay,
they
right
can.
there.
Okay. Here we go. And okay, action.
Hey.
Mhm.
All right. So back to what was my role in my pain, right? And so this was an important question to ask because I needed to understand what happened. I'm a good person. I'm a good mom. I think I did everything right. Well, I didn't do everything right, but at least I tried, right? And I think most of us do that. All of us do that. Women are nurturers by nature. So we're always trying to help and fix and, maintain our homes, help our children. It's a lot. It's a lot. However, when I got to that place that I thought, what was my role in my pain? What happened? What did I do or didn't do? Or maybe what did I do subconsciously that led me to accept the situation I was in? So I went into this journey, a mission to find out, and I enrolled in a school called Light University that's powered by the American Association of Christian Counselors, and I took a full course in marriage and family counseling. Okay, it was a marriage and family counseling program that was supposed to last a year, but I got it done in 2.5 months. I sat in the morning at 7 a.m. and I didn't get up until 1 a.m. every day until I was done. And what I found out was actually remarkable. After I watched all of these lectures, PhD lectures with, psychologists, psychiatrists, people that were specialized in family, in early childhood days, because, they described the relationship as a sort of dynamics. Okay, most people are excited about the wedding, right? The wedding, I'm getting married. But they don't realize that after the wedding, there's a marriage. You have to set up your dynamics. You have to have a certain rhythm together. Then you start having a rhythm together, but then oftentimes people have kids. And once the kids get into that equation, that scrambled the whole relationship once again. So then you got to get used to that early stage. Then you go into the teenage years. Wow, that from experience, those are most difficult years of parenting. And again, your relationship will shift again. So basically what I'm trying to say is relationships take healthy communication, right? And there is the right way to communicate. Most people can communicate, but most of the time when the relationship obviously doesn't work, that means that connection, that communication was unhealthy, right? So the objective was to understand what had happened And do you know that during the course, many times, and I'm telling more than a handful of times, I went, oh, wow, no wonder. No wonder we couldn't get this right. Wow, I didn't know that, or I didn't know this. Well, we didn't do this. We didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
We get, and I don't know, for me, I can only speak for my situation, but I think generally speaking, I could easily say that a lot of people engage in relationships, one, because they don't want to be by themselves. Some people are desperate to be defined by someone else, right? And so they will get desperate, and when they get desperate, that hinders discernment. You know, the quality that you need to actually collect the data, the important information in order to know if that person is the right person for you. I mean, listen, most people that I know that are divorced, and that includes myself, there's two good people that got together, but it didn't work. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just meant that it didn't work out. Something, you lost either connection, or you weren't able to communicate because you were different. You had different belief systems, different values. And I mean, who goes on a first date and starts asking about belief systems and values? Most people don't, right? But we should. You know, one of my mentors, her name is Dr. Michelle McKinney-Hammond. She says, dating is not for mating, it's for collecting data. So before you lay with a man, before you decide to marry a man, before you decide, and I know in different settings, in different cultures, people do things slightly different. In some cultures, it's okay to be a little bit more open. In other cultures, you wait until you get married. Where I come from, you don't leave your parents' home until you go to your husband's house. Everybody has a different setting. So culturally, we are somewhat affected or influenced. However, if we were to ask the right questions from the get-go, right? If we were to say, okay, so what are your belief systems? What is your belief system? What are your values and morals? Then you kind of would understand that person along the way that it's not going to work. You know, now that I'm older, and I think, if I met someone, what questions would I ask? And sometimes the few people that I have met, I haven't even get past that stage of asking questions, because the minute I see a response that does not serve me, I'm like, okay, run. Mm-hmm. Just run. That's not it. You know, this is not the person. I know that the young lady that spoke before was saying that sometimes we can attract that type, right? The narcissist, the controlling people, this and that and the other. And this actually has been proven, okay, that women that are nurturing, loving, women that tend to be that beacon of light will attract certain types of men, because what they say is they see in us a light that they themselves don't possess, but they want some of it. They want to draw from that light that we carry. Now, for us women that are on the other side, the objective is we have to learn how to channel that energy, because what they do is they show up love bombing from the get-go. They hook us in. They somehow they seem to know all the things we love, and then when they get us, then it's chaos, right? So one of the things that I'm learning in this journey of being a woman, and I'm actually single by choice, right, is that we have to learn how to tap into this notion of self-preservation. Self-preservation is an aspect of self-care, right? And self-preservation is where you get to decide how to say no to people and things that people do to you that no longer serve you. So he may be a very handsome guy, very nice, but if you notice anything at all that doesn't resonate with your spirit, and trust me, most women have this feeling, if we call gut feeling, you have the right to choose to say, no, thank you.
And this is like the red flag detection that we talked about before. So when you cannot ignore a red flag and hoping that, so let's hope that it's you know, in Farsi we said inshallah gurbas. It means that, what is that, like it's just probably a cat, you know, like nothing, it's just a cat. When you're sleeping at your place, you're sleeping at night, there is this, like the sound, your noise in your house, you will say, oh, it's a cat. No, you will go find what the heck is happening around my house, in my territory. So when there is a red flag, if you ignore it, it doesn't ignore you. It means that it come to you, it take you down, and that's the exact thing. When you don't eat the wolf, doesn't mean that the wolf doesn't eat you. It will.
Yeah.
So, and we all know that. And this is the place that you said it's not about the blame. It was what is my part, what is my role here. So the first thing is that I ignore. I knew it. Everyone, like when it happened, oh, I knew it. So if you knew it, how come it happened?
And most people, actually, you're correct. Most people, if they go back, if they rewind, they will know exactly when it was that they felt that little feeling like, oh, I don't know about this, but they chose to overlook it. And so by then, in the modern day relationships, we create what we call soul ties. And this is why sometimes it's so complicated to break free from these relationships, because unfortunately, and this is from what I've studied, okay, because I've studied the structure of relationships that are based on culture, let's say, or maybe even religion, some of the Christian relationships, or from cultures that are a little bit more conservative. And from a conservative standpoint, you stand a much better chance to catching before it happens. But if you're in a modern day relationship, you probably have the red flags, but the physical overrides the emotion. So people seek physical intimacy before they have emotional intimacy. Emotional intimacy is vital to a healthy relationship. So what happens is you get the physical intimacy first, then you try to get close. Now you have nothing in common, but you have that physical, what we call soul tie. And that is very hard to break. So it's kind of like it complicates things. So in a sense, what I've learned is that, is it okay? I am from Brazil, right? So my culture is very open, right? So I think in my early years, I would say, okay, it was so great to feel free and be open, but looking back now, it would have been better to have been more conservative, but my culture wasn't that way. In a way, we were conservative in some ways, but not really. It's Brazilian, so we're very open. And then now that I'm older, I think my mentor is right. We're better off holding back, getting to know the person again, collect data. Dating is not for mating. And remember, for a lot of women, this actually happens. They start dating a guy, and they do all the things that a wife would do. They start cooking for them. They start helping them with their trips. They start doing things that only a wife should do. So why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? Then they wonder why, well, he's not married me. I've been with this man for so many years. This is another type of relationship where women get involved. They're so engrossed in the relationship. They immerse themselves in the guy's career and what they're doing. They forget themselves, right? So then what has happened is you've trained that man how to treat you. He's going to overlook you. You're going to be under what his accomplishments are, what his habits are. And then you find yourself kind of over here, on the side, taking care of everything. And if you do end up getting married, you're just left there. It's very common. So I think that ideally, first of all, for women that have had relationships like myself, ideally, when I talk about second chances, I have to tell you, our second chance is not a man. Our second chance is the permission we give ourselves to really reconnect with and evolve into the healthiest versions of ourselves. We must become the person that we want to attract. That should be a goal. And let me tell you why that's important. For two little words, standards and expectations. Okay, standards versus expectations. When you put the two side by side, we definitely ought to lower our expectations, number one, because, listen, people come as they are, okay? It is so hard to change ourselves, right? Imagine if you try to change somebody else. It's nearly impossible. It's impossible. So you got to lower your expectations. In relationships, you have to compromise. You have to know the person emotionally before you're physically involved with them. And I know that sounds a little bit conservative. I get it. But trust me, I've made those mistakes. So I'm speaking from my own experience. Nobody has to follow. I'm just saying this is what I think. But when it comes to standards, right? Keep your standards high, lower your expectations. Basically, when you have your expectations high, you tend to feel entitled. Well, I should have that guy. He's great and I'm good enough. Well, when you lower your standards, when you lower your expectations and keep your standards high, now you're going to feel deserving. And you're going to say, you know what? I deserve what's best. because I also put myself out there as the best. So become the person you want to attract. You have to live that walk. You have to walk that walk. You can't just walk around expecting to get the best, but you're not the best, and you're not treating yourself the best, right? So it's like a basic thing that a lot of people forget. We, because of our nature, and I have to say, our emotional, nurturing nature sometimes gets us in trouble. You end up doing everything for everybody else, not putting ourselves first.
Well, I don't know where to begin. I mean, honestly, sometimes I just, I just want to sit back and listen to you, but there are so many aspects that I really want to add or just co-sign here with you. The latest thing that you said, it's like, let's say the expectation is about, I believe that there are two choices that you have when it comes to life and relationships. Either like life will lower your expectations. I mean, you will choose the life based on your standards, and you try and you suffer, and you wait and you work on yourself, as you said, walk the walk. Or life will change your standards, it will bring it down, and then you end up being somewhere which you're not happy with, your surroundings, with people who are pouring into you every day, and you find yourself like in a misery, you call it relationships. And this is exactly the point that I made today, that if you're looking for a pearl, stop looking into ponds. You cannot find anything there. Just, you need to dive deeper. It's hard, it's breathtaking, it's like it needs a lot of patience. But if you are looking for pearls, it is not a place to look. And that this is important to know. Yeah, so if you, let's just make it a little bit more comprehensive for maybe youngers. Partying every night till 5 a.m., 6 a.m., random places, random people, every like random stuff. And at the end of the week or end of the day, or whenever you like over the hangover stuff, you say, oh, I'm looking for love. There's these people are awful. What is this life for me? I just, I deserve love. If you deserve love, start showing love to yourself first.
Exactly. So well said.
You cannot start drinking with the random people every day, every random places, this party, that party, do this, do that at the end. And like when you feel like not, I need to control my language a little bit here. If when you feel like heck here, I don't know what to do, and then blame it on love. And no, people are bad these days, and like everyone is trying to take advantage of me. Have you ever set a boundary? Have you ever respected yourself and then asked people to respect your boundaries?
Absolutely. The truth is that we train people to treat us. We train people to treat us the way they do. When I heard that for the first time, I almost fell off my chair. I was like, excuse me? Well, I'm not responsible. No, you're not responsible for what other people do, but you are responsible for the way you take part in it, the way you choose to allow and take part in it. The thing about that you said before about, like people are out and they're doing all this and then they're expecting all of that, two things came to my mind, just as you said it. There's these two expressions that I like to say: in the meantime and in the waiting. In the meantime, a lot of people live life like that. Like, for example, I know someone that says to me, well, I'm going to go out and party and sleep with all these guys until the right guy comes along.
The right guy is, why should he?
The right guy will not come along because you're not, you see, in order to live the life that you desire, right, you need to be intentional. In order to be intentional, you must be obedient, you must be patient, and you even might have to sacrifice a little. Now, when you live in the waiting, there is something greater than you. There is something that you do because you know it's the right thing to do. And you wait patiently because otherwise you will settle for the wrong person. So many people will say, I'm in a relationship right now because I don't want to be by myself. Well, that's in the meantime. In the waiting, you stay alone until the right person comes along. And you, while you wait for your king, as I like to say, work on your kingdom. Work on your temple, work on yourself, because when that man shows up, you're ready. But if that man doesn't show up, you're ready. So it won't matter. I think that the thing that comes to my mind is it does feel a bit of like a sacrifice of sorts. The waiting, I feel like there is a bit of sacrifice required. However, isn't that so much better to lay at night and not feel robbed of who you are because you're having to conform to what some persons say you are, right? And remember, when you are doing that, actually, if we get defined by the people that we are in relationship with, don't you find that a lot of times those people come from lack and brokenness? So they're trying to tell you who you are, but they don't know who they are. And we get entangled in their issues and their problems. So relationships are essentially complicated, right? Relationship is actually work. And I know a lot of people like to say, well, if it's the right relationship, even when it is the right relationship, what's going to happen is there is work involved.
It's a lot of compromise, even in the best kind of relationship. First of all, I noticed that people are asking for your Instagram ID. I pinned the comment, Mariam, down there.
It's Dea Ministry.
Dea Ministry. So you can follow her there, and you guys on TikTok, you can just enjoy for now. I don't know.
I'm on TikTok as well as Dea Ministry.
So Dea Ministry, DEAMINISTRY.
Yes.
All right, and. Yeah, so I just, I know that, so there are people in line, but I don't want to let you go for now. It just there's something that sometimes I use like an example when this is about, people who came from a broken place. We all have been through a lot. This is a fact that we all fighting our battles and we have our wounds. And sometimes when I say healing is a long process, it is important that you said, I don't want to be alone. Why you don't want to be alone? When you are wounded, when you are tired, when you have a lot of scars and you have a lot of wounds, like a soldier who just survived a battle and you are lost in the jungle, in a forest somehow, and you end up in a cave, you're dying. And if you don't be alone in that moment with yourself and someone just show up and said, okay, let me help you with your wounds. Let me clean them. Let me feed you. Let me take care of you. You would say, yes, of course. I'm dying here. Just please do it. Help me. You at that moment you need that help. But when you back on your feet, are you going to be there for this person again or not? And then you come to the place that, oh, this is not what I wanted. Back then I was dying. Now I'm not dying. And okay, thank you. So don't do this to others. Die alone. You're not going to die. I promise you. You will heal by yourself and you will be so proud of yourself if you heal alone. But if you use someone else to heal, and then when you come back on your feet and you leave them, this is brutal. And it's better to say no at the beginning, even on your most vulnerable spot. To say, no, you know what? Thank you so much. I can take it on myself. Because you don't date for fun, don't date for healing, don't date for the end. If you don't see the end, don't start dating.
That's right. It's so funny because I think a lot of people have trouble saying no. Those are the people who live in the meantime. In the meantime mode, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Let's see how it goes. And for the ladies that are listening, I always laugh when I say this. If you meet a guy and he says, let's see how it goes, run. There is no let's see how it goes. The best conversation, guys, is the one that you get to tell them who you are and find out who they are. Ask about their values. Ask about their morals. Ask about the belief systems. Even ask about love language, even though I think love language is definitely a layer of relationship. I mean, people have different ways to relate to one another. For example, for me, physical contact is wonderful. Words of affirmation are wonderful. But I think overall the relationship is this. It is an exchange. You don't show up 50%. You show up with your 100%. The other person shows up with their 100%. And you have an exchange. It's not about reward and punishment. Nobody's keeping tally. It's about the willingness to yield. Like when you have to let a car pass A lot of that comes in relationship. It's that ability to compromise, but also yield, learn about the other person. In healthy relationships, you're going to find out if you interview 10 people that have been married for 60 years, they're going to tell you, what's the secret? The man will say, I say yes, dear, a lot.
Mhm.
It's about an understanding, that that person is a certain way. You can never get into a relationship and say, okay, I love this guy. Now he has to change for me. I'm going to mold him. I'm going to change him. And you know what that becomes? Instead of the potential partner, now he's a project. Do you know how many people have projects? They have projects because what they see in that person is the possibility of a partner.
They accept it. They accept so many things that they are okay. We're gonna change it. I'm gonna change it. You cannot change it. No one is going to change terms you already accepted.
That's right. That's right. So don't go for the potential we can work with, but get to know the potential so we can see if it's gonna go the right way. There is such thing as the right partner, yes, but do not go for the project. Okay,
And there's no such a thing as perfect partner. Right partner, there is, but no perfect partner, perfect match. Even we are not perfect match for ourselves. Sometimes you cannot tolerate yourself. That's a fact.
Right. No, that's true. And listen, everybody has baggage. We all have baggage. However, again, I love that you said the word perfection, perfect, because real is not perfect and perfect is not real. So we can't say, well, it's the perfect person for you, but that doesn't mean that person is perfect. However, don't go with the project, okay? Because most of us can tell when it's going to be a project. Years ago, they had a show on Broadway. I don't know if some of you might know this here. It was called I Love You, You Are Perfect, Now Change. And it was a comedy, okay? This was a comedy. It was literally hysterical. They got married. Everything was perfect, the wedding. And then when the marriage came, oh, gosh, it was a disaster. So everybody has to keep that in mind. The best advice I could give is, take care of yourself. Put your mask on first before you put your mask on others. If you're flying on a plane and there is an emergency situation, they say, take care of you first. That should be the metaphor for life. Take care of you first, because when you're healthy, whole, and happy, you're going to be better off. You're going to be much better to serve, help, and being in relationships with people, not just with a partner, but even with your family, with your friends, with your coworkers. Relationship is work. Are we going to stumble? Yes. Are we going to make some mistakes? Yes. Are we going to hurt people? Yes. And are we going to hurt? Absolutely yes. However, again, willingness to yield, meaning you're going to look at life, weigh things, have healthy communication. I also just heard recently, which actually shocked me, there is such thing as healthy love. You can love someone in an unhealthy way, okay? But you can also love in a healthy way. But the only way you're going to love in a healthy way is when you love yourself first.
Yeah.
You know how many people are walking around feeling undeserving of love? They don't think they're good enough, but yet they're in love with someone. That's not a healthy love. You're coming from lack, right? Mm-hmm. One other thing that I want to leave with you is my mentor says, do not get in a relationship out of void. Get in a relationship out of value. A lot of people go in from the void space, right? But out of value, we are our best. We show up as our best, dynamic, loving, open, willing to communicate, willing to even admit to our faults. That's the big thing. Two things that are the biggest issues with relationships that cause the most divorce. Two things. One of them is the style in which someone resolves conflict. In other words, you don't agree, you don't know how to fight. You don't resolve conflict in the same style. And the other problem is people don't know how to apologize. They have a different style of apologizing. Here's an example. For example, let's say I hurt you, okay? Let's say I hurt you, and you tell me that you're. Let's go the other way around. Let's say you hurt me, and you come to me and say, "Daya, I'm sorry, I was just stupid." I'm gonna feel like, okay, that's not really an apology. To me, a full apology would be, "Hey, Daya, I'm so sorry that I hurt your feelings or whatever you did. Will you forgive me?" Because that way you're giving me.
How can I fix it now?
You're giving me.
How can I fix it? Let's try to fix.
Yes, you're giving me an opportunity to decide if I'm ready to forgive or if I want to forgive. Maybe I don't want to forgive, but maybe I do just need a little time. In that way, you validate the person that you hurt. But most people don't know how to apologize. Mm-hmm. So These two things, believe it or not, according to statistics, are the two biggest causes of divorce. Different style of resolving conflict and also different styles of apologizing.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, so thank you. So before I invited you up, I knew that it's going to be a great talk. That's why I asked everyone to take notes and we'll get ready to. Again, I am going to repeat the Instagram and TikTok. It's beautiful that they are the same. So it's DeaMinistry, Dia Ministry.
thank
So
you so much.
make sure that you follow her and learn more and more every day. Thank you again for being here, for joining me, and I'm looking forward to talking to you soon again.
Yes, send me a message, okay? And
Okay.
I thank you so much for having me here. It was a
Thank you
pleasure.
so much for joining. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. So I hope that we all taking notes and learning, and most of the things that we just discussed, it's not something new. We all know them, and we just need to, we need someone to remind us and how she did it. That was a great way to remember. And yeah, so let's see. I hope that we have some other guests. Let's do some new friends if possible. I'd like to talk and you hear me and give me advice. Okay, I mean, thank you. I'm not sure if I can give you advice, but we can definitely talk about whatever you want to talk. Okay, I'm waiting for Pamela, I guess. Is this Pam? Are you joining or not? Let's see. You just send the request. I can invite you up if you want. And okay. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. How are you? Thank you for joining me tonight.
That's okay. It's now 2:53
No,
UK,
it's not that late.
it's definitely morning here.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm
assuming
doing
it's not
great.
you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for contribution. I know that you have a lot to share, but would you
Yes.
please introduce yourself first for the other
Certainly.
audience?
Hi everyone, I'm Julianne. My Instagram handle is Ross Drefia, and the other one is Ross Drefia 4458, and I'm calling you from the UK, a county of Kent, and on a good day I can see France.
Mhm.
So I'm right down in the bottom part of the
Mhm.
UK, down in Dover in Kent. So yeah. So I hope everybody's fine tonight, and I'm interested in the topic. Very interested in the topic.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you
All right.
all over from Kent. It was this TV show that they made it on Kent. It was about this two uh, detectives. I don't know. Like, do you remember? Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
We've had quite a few things actually done here. We actually have a castle here, which was King Henry VIII's castle. A little bit of history and his 6 wives. So how topical was that? 6 wives, beheaded, divorced, survived. 6 wives of Henry VIII.
So this is a good portal to start the relationship talk.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
what is your input to the topic?
Well, I got married at 19. I met the love of my life, and sadly, some years later, he died whilst I was with him. He was 48. We had 5 years difference in age, and for many years, 14 years of them, because that's how long I've been alone. Yeah, I felt lonely. Yeah, people, you get this wonderful saying from certain people, must be a merry widow, or, we're hit on a merry widow. No. I do believe that sometimes we meet our soulmate, and I believe our soulmate is there before we even know it, because we have expectations from perhaps a grandfather who's been a gentleman, a father. It's been proven that sometimes women look for the father figure. In a family set up, a lot of times you find that the boys are close to the moms, the girls are close to the fathers. As I say, I was married to the love of my life for a very, very long time. And sadly, he died very unexpectedly. I was with him when he died. And to be honest with you, yes, there have been people that want to take me out and such like, but no. And now I'm at a stage in my life where I'm thinking, yeah, you're not getting any younger. You're 57 years young. I feel so young rather than old, because I believe age is just a number. And I also believe that, it's what's in our soul. It's not about the years that we've been on the earth that define us. It's about experience of life and how we approach life. Mine is a positive mindset. With relationships, I think everybody's looking for the atypical Hollywood relationship, the romance and everything else. That's not always there. It's about learning very, very much so about the other person. You cannot have a relationship with somebody who's not your friend. It will not work. You have to get to know someone, and it's no point trying to change someone, because you didn't fall in love with somebody that you're trying to mold. You fell in love with the person. It could be anything that attracted you to them. It's a very, very deep thing. And when I read your quote tonight, or your piece tonight about the ocean and the pearls and such like, yes, a pearl will signify and symbolize purity. It will symbolize integrity, loyalty, all of those things, and happiness as well, if worn by the right person. Now, you look for some integrity, you look for honesty, you look for your best friend, because you have to be able to trust every single thing with the person that you're with. We all get older. It's not about the physical side, it's about the emotional side, the being in tune with somebody. Often people say, well, I can finish their sentence. It happens because you get to know that person, and it's a two-way street. When you go on a journey, you have a compass. Nowadays, you have a sat-nav. You know where you're going. You know the direction you want to go in. You're going to go on that journey. Yes, you're going to hit bumps in the road, but you need to know that when, let's for instance say you're in a car, you need to know that that car has got the facilities to take you to where you're going. So when you choose a partner, you need to be able to not rely, but be, one person virtually. And the other day you spoke about distance relationships, long distance relationships. Well, my late husband was in the armed forces. So for many years and lots of times he was away. And I'm a strong believer that there is no distance between two loving hearts. There really isn't any distance. And it's about the depth. So using what you were saying today about the ocean, deep, yes. And I actually said in return to you that still rivers run deep. Yes, they do. And you know, at the end of the day, it's no good looking for a flowing river and whatever and saying, oh, that looks beautiful, that looks wonderful. Or looking at a diamond and saying, oh, that's beautiful, that's wonderful. You have to look at what is beneath, what lies beneath. You know, there's a film, Sleeping with the Enemy, and some people may have seen it. And truth of the matter is, you can be going to bed at night, lying next to somebody, going to sleep, waking up the next day, and you still don't know that person. And that's the sadness of it all. You know, we're not animals on the street, you know, and when you do drink alcohol and you do silly things, we've all been young, you drink alcohol and such like, you have no control, and you have to set boundaries. So I think a relationship is about give and take. My mother would have celebrated 67 years married with my father on the 2nd of February. Sadly, he died very sadly just after my husband. And, you know, I've seen them go through so many things. But one thing, they were a partnership. They were friends. You know, they gave each other comfort. They talk about things. They'd never go to bed on an argument. You know, it wasn't a weakness to say, I'm sorry, I've made a mistake. It was basically knowing that you nurture nature. A mother nurture natures when she brings a child up, and that's unconditional. You know, I think nowadays we live in such a fast world. We have expectations about material things. It's not about material things. It's about the heart and what comes out of your mouth, what you say. Your tongue is the strongest weapon you've ever got. And if you cut someone, that scar will always be there. And it's knowing how to put them back together. And it's the same with, you know, if people are disloyal, if they think the grass is greener. No, it's not. And it doesn't matter if they come back in and say, oh, well, you know, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it. You know, temptation got the better of me. A person's heart is like fine china. It's like glass. You know, you scratch it and you're going to see that. It's going to be there. It's going to be deep. And I think we really need to think about a person's heart. And again, with looks, so many people are so, oh, you know, that person needs to look lovely. You look in a magazine, you look on the television, youngsters particularly, oh, but they won't fancy me. They won't like me because I'm not this, I'm not that. As we get older, we change. Everything about us changes. And I think that's something we have to take in mind as well. You know, it's important to go on that journey together, to grow old together, to make time. And some of us don't have that time. And it's making sure that every single second of that day is important. Because today is here. Tomorrow isn't promised. You know, if we wake up tomorrow with the dawn, the beautiful dawn, then that was the future. So tomorrow then becomes the now. So it's about making that work. And I think it's, you know, the divorce situation, you see so many people getting divorced because they don't want to work at something. You know, it's not about roses round the door. It's about being there for someone. And that's my viewpoint on relationships. You know, we all have a different viewpoint. That's mine. And yeah, you do have to dig deep down to
Into
find
the
your
ocean.
girl. You really do. You know, so
Yeah.
that's my viewpoint.
I like your share was magnificent. Thank you for that. And I want to bring up one topic that you just talked about, and maybe something to remember, especially youth that are listening, then they are. You know, like they have the imagination of a perfect relationship and the perfect couple and stuff like this, which even the most beautiful person that you can even imagine in your mind, in your wildest dream, you will get used to them in less than a year, in a couple of months, the best way. And then it's time to think, to talk, to rely on essence. Falling in love is, I believe, in love is a misnomer. In perfect love, in the actual, let's say, unconditional real love, there's no falling. It's all about rising. And you need to, if you want to call it fall in love, you need to fall in love with your partner every day. And if you fall in love once and you count on this one time for a lifetime, it doesn't work. That's how everything starts so shiny, everything is so beautiful at the beginning, and not long after everything got back to boring. And we talk about, you mentioned the long distance relationship. My point in that part was exactly so. Long distance is complicated and it has a lot of stuff that need to be considered. But how painful is that to live in the same house with someone and be in a long distance relationship? How painful is this to sit in a bed together next to each other and be on your phone all night and don't even talk to each other? And this is the actual, let's say, uh, problematic long distance, that you share a bed but you don't talk and you don't know each other, you don't know each other's feeling, and you just exist, you just live together, and that's what is the point. uh, well, thank you so much for your share, and
You're welcome.
appreciate your time in the like early morning
Wow.
weekend. Yeah,
Thank you ever so much.
thank you so
Anyway,
much.
thank you,
I
Dr.
hope that you
Sarah.
join back again, or and we can talk more.
Definitely will do.
Yeah, thank you.
God bless. Take care. Bye bye.
All right, so thank you, Julian. And that was a great share from Julian. Uh, we still have time. I know that this is a topic that everyone has experience about, they want to share. And I am actually so excited to invite you all. Hopefully, we can talk to more friends, not just tonight. We will continue on this topic every week. Hello. Hi. Hello.
Hi, how are you? Can you
Um,
hear me?
Thank you. How are you? It was a delay, I guess. Can you hear me?
Switch off my headphones because it might be that.
Yeah, yeah. The headphone is the enemy of the live Instagram live.
Yeah, that and Bluetooth.
Okay. And it takes a minute to go back to normal. So let's just be patient here and wait for her to come back. Hello?
Why it's not working. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. The video is
Can you hear
lagging,
me?
but I can hear you.
Okay, terrific. How are you today?
Hello, thank you so
I'm
much.
grateful to be part of this opportunity. Thank you.
Of course, thank you so much for joining. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, so I'm Amanda. I'm from New York. I am a social worker and detective here in New York City. Relationships is something that I deal with every day in many aspects, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I agree with every other speaker today. I definitely think that everyone had a lot of insight. One thing that I think about relationships is that it's important to choose to show up. When you're in a relationship, it's not always going to be, like the fairy tale story that we all wish for. Therefore, we need to choose to show up and put the work in as well. I think that a lot of what we see in relationships, or we perceive as the fairy tale relationship, is something that most of us think from what we've viewed as from children, right? Which is somewhat unrealistic. Therefore, we need to know what we want, and then we need to also reality check that with what we're learning from as childhood. So we have two perspectives, right? One that we're learning from as childhood, and then one as adults that we're reality checking. So we want to reality check what we want and the desires that we have and the realistic expectations. So I agree from both perspectives. I feel like both speakers earlier had picked up on kind of like some similarities, but some opposition. But at the same time, we really have to reality check what we're learning from within media, within our childhood, and then put into perspective of what we want as individuals.
Well, so thank you for your share. And I know that with your experience, maybe the best advice or maybe best topic we can start to talk about is somehow abusive relationships. I'm sure that you have seen so many of them. And there are some, let's say, scenarios that even sometimes they believe that they are in love, the victim and the abuser, and this is love, and it become like even like huge problems. It will turn to huge problems. So what is your take on that?
I'm really grateful that you asked that question, because I come across domestic violence and toxic relationships often. I genuinely feel like when you're in a toxic relationship, it's not something that you're going to notice. Sometimes that saying "love is blind" is real. When you're in a toxic relationship, you may be dealing with narcissistic personalities where they will make it seem as if it's your fault things are happening. So again, going back to those red flags is so important, because when you're dealing with a narcissistic personality, you're going to ignore those red flags. And you're going to say, oh, what did I do? What did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? And it's so important to go back to, those red flags. Like, are they, considering my needs? And what am I doing in this situation? What am I contributing wrong?
Mm-hmm.
What are they contributing wrong? And it usually will come down to it. When a narcissistic personality is coming through this character, it's actually going to be that they're the ones that are perpetrating, convincing you that you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the fact that you're pouring into this relationship in every single way. And they're very convincing. Very, very convincing. And at this time, you should definitely seek support in those situations.
Mm-hmm. And something that sometimes when I talk to my patient clients, friends about narcissistic behaviors, narcissistic relationship, you mentioned red flags, and as you said, they are so convincing. Sometimes you don't even realize that it is my fault or it's their fault, of what's happening here. What's something that I say, that narcissistic personality has this ability to change the color. You might see so many red flags, but you don't believe that they are red. They are just flags. You see things, you don't realize that this is a red flag or not. This is actually something to consider. If you are seeing a lot of alarms that even you cannot distinguish between your fault or some other people's fault, don't blame yourself for all of them, and put it into this concept that maybe you are in a narcissistic relationship. And something else that might be helpful is the lack of empathy is so important, and the fact that this person or this, I believe there are like even more than just a disorder. They don't take responsibility for anything. So if you ask them that when was the last time you were wrong about anything, they cannot even remember. Well, I never been wrong. So when you put them together, now you know that you don't even need to see the
Narcissistic
color.
personality stem from trauma themselves. So that you're right when you say that it's a disorder. Oftentimes, people who are narcissistic, they learn that behavior from somewhere in childhood. So it's definitely a trauma personality trait, and it's very scary because they're so charming.
And they make you colorblind. You cannot see the red flag because you now you're colorblind. You see the flag, but you think, oh, maybe this is my fault now.
Yes, that's accurate.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for your share, and I hope that you can join more. And this is a topic that we definitely need to talk more, especially about domestic abuse and your experience.
Unexpected. Next time, I hope to be expected to deliver you with some more content.
Of course, yeah. So definitely we will talk more about domestic abuse, and I expect you to join and share more. Thank you.
Yes.
Have a nice day. Bye. All right. Yeah, so some topics we discussed tonight that I would love to talk more about them. One of them is soulmate. Short answer maybe is that I don't believe in soulmates, but I can explain. I can explain that I believe in, because I have a strong belief that we are same one soul, all of us. And with that being said, we are all soulmates. We are all one. We are all connected, and we are all coming from one source. And maybe some things that, like the person that we consider as soulmate is the one who help us, or we help each other to find the way to our core, to our origin, beyond this physical realm. And yeah, so soulmate is a topic to talk about, because I think when we can be clear about the soul, everything else is easy to deal with. All right, so I am trying to all right, so tonight's gonna be a good night. Connected, all about each individual conscious. Yes. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Hey, how are you?
Doing great. How are you, Dr. Iman?
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me, Rana.
Let me turn some lights on, guys, because you always talk to me in the dark.
Yeah. And you know how important it is for me to be in a light. The lighting is important.
See, I write all day, so my eyes get really sore and tired, so I try to turn some lights off. But hi, everyone.
Hi. So please leave a comment, because I know that the moment you start talking, people might ask about your ID as well. So leave a comment. I can pin your comment. And let me do my job. This is my job here, to connect you all together. So this is a part of my job as the Caravanserai. So I'm looking for your comment.
I just want to say that thank you, Iman, for connecting us and for opening this platform for everyone to share. I've learned a lot just listening to people, and it definitely makes me really happy to share with others as well.
Thank you. I'm still looking for your comment to pin before we start. Have you left a comment? Would you please leave a comment, say hi, so I can pin your comment.
Okay, so do you want me to comment?
Yeah, just say hi so I can pin the comment, so while we start talking,
okay,
my friends can find you. Okay, here we go. And action. How are you doing today?
I'm doing much better. And every time like I think about something, you post a video about it, like you freak me out.
Yeah, because we are over 7 billion people, but the problems are not that many. Like if you talk about something deep, something real, many people might say, "Oh, exactly, I know what you're talking about. This is exact my question. This is my concern." This is because it's not 7 billion problems out there.
That's right. And when you said that we all come from the same soul, I highly agree with that. And also, I want you to direct me because at the end of the day, this is your platform. So would you like me to be Gypsy tonight, or would you like me to be Ron, the therapist?
I want you to talk about relationships, since we were talking about relationships tonight and different aspects. What is your take? Let's say maybe you are not that uh like when it comes to age, you're not the grandma, but so you've been through a lot and you learn, and this is how we know that we learn through pain and struggles, and you have so much to share. Let's say you're talking to a younger friend. You want to give us something that you learned through your journey about relationships.
So the best thing I've learned so far about my share of relationships, as well as the people that I work with on daily basis. I'm very blunt, guys. I'm an Aries, so sorry about my honesty. I'm an old player. Before I became a coach and I started coaching people, I used to be in a lot of relationships. So I met almost every kind of man that someone can meet. I haven't dated all of them, but I know a good bit of information about the different genders and even females and things like that. So the best thing I can say tonight is lots of times in today's world we tend to mistaken being lonely with being in love. And when you've been raised in environments where you were not encouraged to talk about your needs, and your needs were suppressed, you learn as an adult to suppress your own needs. So I see many marriages in my field of work that were based on chemistry, pure physical attraction. Those marriages or those relationships, in all honesty, should have never exceeded the point of a one-night stand, with all due respect. But they roll on and on and on because people cannot differentiate between physical needs and simply being lonely, simply needing physical pleasure or having chemistry with someone. Like, this is a hard lesson I had to learn in my own in my longest relationship with my best friend. He's an absolutely amazing person, and I do believe I have good traits about me. But we were on and off for so many years. And if he's watching me, I'm sending you so much love. Nothing against you, buddy. But me and him, I feel like we wasted years of our lives because we weren't able to differentiate between the fact that we had crazy chemistry. But when you take us and you put us in one room, we cannot last 15 minutes without fighting to death. Like, literally, this person brought out my worst side, and I brought out his worst side. So I feel like relationships, guys, they're like chemistry. It's like a chemical reaction. Both people are going to be changed at the end of the day, whether to good or bad, and everyone has good and bad. But when you're in a relationship out of ego, because you have a need, an unmet need that you're trying to meet using this relationship, that's when the power struggles begin. And that's when people start fighting to death, because you're not in love with this person. This is what you need to understand. You are using this person to get your need met, your need met, sorry. And this person is using you to get their need met. I can't talk today. I've been speaking in Arabic, sorry. This person is using you to get their need met. So when you go back after the chemistry is over and after the honeymoon phase of the relationship is over, you go back and you realize that you have just wasted years of your life thinking that you were with your soulmate or this is the one for me. Like, I think about all the good men that I've met along my journey, and I say, oh my gosh, I never gave those people a chance. And I'm not talking here about marriage, because I think marriage is a societal requirement. Like, I do not believe that marriages make relationships. And that's another point that I want to make. Many people think, oh, because this guy went down on his knees and he gave me a ring, that means that we are partners. Honey, no. That doesn't mean that you're partners. Partnership requires one thing called compatibility. If you are compatible with a person on mental and emotional levels, chemistry can be created. And that's something that Hollywood and the toxic romantic environment that we create for people nowadays does not tell you about. I mean, you look at relationships in the past, and people had their issues. They've always had their issues, but people stuck together no matter what. Because my grandparents and your grandparents, I believe in my grandparents' relationship a lot. When I look at their relationship, I see true love. These people were not highly educated. They didn't watch movies. They didn't do big gestures. But one thing they had is they didn't quit on the other person.
Mhm.
And in this day and age, because relationships are based on pure passion and lust, and there's no true compatibility between people, the first thing that happens is divorce rates are spiking around the world. Out of every 10 marriages that happen, the happy moments, the weddings, the pictures, the nice stuff, 7 of them actually are ending up in divorce. And I'm not going to use the word failing, even though society might deem divorce as a failing relationship. I don't think any relationship fails, because at one point, I think I was 27. I'm 28 now, so not too long ago. I sat in a meditation and I was crying my eyes out, and I was literally shouting at my spirit guides, because I was under the impression that I had to be married by 25. Like, I had this set goal for me. I said, if I don't get married by 25, if I don't find the one and make a family, then I don't want to get married. And at that time, I had just failed in my 10-year on and off relationship with my best friend, whom I felt was the one. And I felt like the world ended. I felt like I could never love again. And I was doing this meditation. I said, why? Why do I keep meeting these people? They're all extremely alluring and attractive. Why do I keep meeting them and it's not working out in the end? Why do you make me meet them? And why do you make me invest in them? And the message came back loud and clear. It's all bringing you closer to love. You have to keep breaking your heart in order for your heart to open. Every time your heart is broken, every time people let you down, that's a chance for you to either love yourself on a deeper level or learn to humble yourself by having to love someone who broke your heart. Like, my best friend, he broke my heart. I broke his heart. And then when we meet today, he's with someone else, by the way, and I do wish them all the best, and I'm going to be at the wedding. When I see him today and when he sees me, we love each other to death. And he even told his current fiance, he said, you know what, I'm going to love this person forever, and you have to be okay with that. It's not like, we're lovers, but I think the fact of being humble enough to forgive someone and to love someone who hurt you, and to not hurt them in return. And the idea of continuing to love someone that you're never going to possess is one of the most noble things you can do in your life. Before walking out of this earth, you have to be able to love something or love someone so deeply without having any intentions or results attached to it. And that's the main barrier that exists between us and love is the fact that there always has to be something tangible coming out of it. There always has to be some kind of a show. We have to have kids. We have to get married. We have to do something, because society is conditioning you not to value life in its essence, not to value the moments that you create. It's asking you that you always should have a title, or you should always have a brand name on your life of something big and luxurious that you're doing. And that has nothing to do with love. That has everything to do with ego. And that's why people get broken and they get lost and they want to kill themselves over a person. You're not trying to kill yourself over the person. You're trying to kill yourself over your extreme attachment to the idea of being with that person and the kind of life that you could have had. And the most famous phrase that I always tell, especially women in my clinic, I say, you can't lose the one. Let's say you believe in the one. I do not believe in the one. Because I do believe, like you said, we all come from the same soul. And if I find someone who is on the same vibrational frequency as I am, and who is willing to work with me in a way that we grow together and we don't grow apart, that's all I need. Like, I'm marrying this person tomorrow. Doesn't matter if we decide to not
And
get married.
something important is this grow together. It's sometimes it's been misunderstood. Grow together doesn't mean that so I'm looking for a husband or a wife to grow together. It means to make more money or be more successful, or now I'm not looking for materialistic things, but let's grow together spiritually. Someone who helps you to open to the source of being, to the source of life, to tap into the soul, the one that we're talking about. That's how you find your soulmate, the one who just opened the hatch for you to get over this everything, the materialistic life that we are surrounding ourselves with. The one who opened the door for you, said, this is it. Now you don't see anything in this world because you have me. Now I open this door for you because this is all I can do as someone who have all your focus.
And then also, that's lovely. And I'd like to also add, Iman, that this is how you preserve love. One thing you guys have to think about is every day at work, I see great love stories that are killed by expectations, that are killed by lack of freedom. Loving someone is like nurturing a bird. If you hold on too tightly, you're going to kill this bird. And if you completely let go, this bird is going to fly everywhere and you're not going to be able to track it. So in a relationship, you want to have fluid boundaries. You want to have some kind of rules that you guys agree on just to keep the relationship intact and in place. But at the same time, you have to understand that loving someone and that person loving you back does not mean that you bought them. This person is not yours. And the first thing that makes me run now when I meet someone, and especially like Middle Eastern men, no offense, they're like so possessive. And he's like, I just want you to be mine, like all the way. And I hear that, and I just want to pick my purse up and like run out of the restaurant. I can't handle it. And people think I have commitment issues, but I don't have commitment issues. I just think that if you're connected to the source, it doesn't matter if you're religious or not, or not atheist maybe, but if you're connected to the soul, the human soul, and if that person is connected to the human soul, you guys will always vibrate back to the same frequency. It doesn't matter if they're like in India and you're in the US. You guys will always be brought back together. Because if you're working towards the same life purpose, and if you're both at the same vibrational frequency, and one of the biggest things that lower the love vibrational frequency, the opposite, people think the opposite of love is hate, which is not true. Hate is a subliminal form of love. We hate people when we cannot possess them in love. So we start hating them because we still have passion towards them.
That is true.
However, how do you kill love? You kill love through fear. When I start fearing what people are thinking about my relationship with this person, when I start fearing, oh, what's the intentions of this person? When is he gonna propose? When is he gonna marry me? When he starts fearing, oh, is she looking at other men? Does she still love me the same way? That's exactly when insecurities start building and people start fighting and love dissipates. And I'm gonna repeat the word I said again. Love is so easy to form because it's the base of life. It's the natural attraction that we all have. We're all attracted to falling in love and creating life. But it's so easy to lose when ego starts playing in the picture. I feel like I can talk about this forever because this is like my thing and I love it. But if y'all have any questions.
Thank you so much for joining, and I know that this is your passion. This is your field. This is, as they say, it's your cup of coffee, cup of tea, whatever. It's your cup. Yeah, and yeah. So, but thank you so much. We will have this topics, this kind of calls every week. So, please feel free to join back and
be more.
Yep.
And Iman, I have a question for you because it's a pressing question and everyone is asking that question. This is like a public request. People want to know what your sign is. What's your sign?
My sign is Scorpio.
Oh goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. He's a Scorpio.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your share.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you. Bye. Oh, I guess so. Now it's Scorpio. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you. We now are reaching our 90 minutes tonight. I know that so many friends are waiting to share. I promise you that this topic will be on for quite a bit. We will talk about it for weeks. As long as you have something to say, I am here to listen. And there are people who want to listen too. So we try to keep it productive, about 90 minutes every day. Make sure you come back tomorrow. We will talk about your stories, your inspirational stories. Around 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow around noon, I will join, and I'm welcoming you all if you want to join and talk about your stories. Just to wrap up what we learned today, definitely I invite you all to go back and watch this session and take notes and remember things that we all know. We just need reminders on my YouTube channel, here on Instagram. And if you are watching it on YouTube later on, please show some love to the content in YouTube. Like, comment, share. Like, just leave a comment, something like, hey, how you doing? Oh, it's good. Something like this. Let YouTube knows that I'm cool. I'm doing good. Something to wrap up with, which is the story of the soldier that I talk about. It's so real to me, and I always talk about it. That we all been through a lot, different battles in different places of life, and we have our wounds. Make sure you heal alone, because if not, you will hurt someone else, or you will hurt yourself. If you use someone, as Rana said, to meet your needs when you have the wounds, when you need someone to heal you, and then your needs are now met, you don't need them anymore. Don't start a relationship based on need, because at the end of the day, you are responsible for the feeling, for the emotion that you created in someone else's heart. And relationships are complicated, but you cannot live without them. So don't get me wrong. Heal alone, start the process of healing alone. And when you are comfortable in your skin, you know what you want, you love yourself enough, you have your boundaries, you have your self-respect. Now it's time to start a relationship, healthy, unconditional love, and even a best kind of relationship, the healthiest and let's say the dreamiest relationship needs care, like a plant at your place. You need to take care of your relationship every day. It doesn't mean that I water them today, so forget about tomorrow. It's a day to day to day ongoing care. If you are not honest in your relationship, you are going to have a lot of trouble. If you do not communicate properly, you're going to have a lot of trouble. If you do not compromise in your relationship, you're going to have a lot of trouble. But still, the relationship can go on with a lot of trouble. But when it comes to priorities, this is important that you cannot continue a relationship with someone else who doesn't put the relationship first. You cannot have a relationship with someone who has other priorities. So that is important to remember. All the miscommunication, uh, dishonesty, everything else, you can work around them if both sides wants to keep the relationship. The first priority is the relationship. If not, forget it. It's not possible. Not at all. Let it go. And go back to the healing process again, which we all know that healing is a process, and it's not just one-time process. It's a day-to-day process. We receive the pain, so and we just try to uh, heal the wound and go back and fight the same battle in different levels. Love you all. It was a great session, and thank you for being here, watching me, enjoying the show, and enjoying the shares. My name is Iman. This is the Iman Show, and have a nice evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, whatever you do. Love you all. Let's see if we can end it with a song. Playing from iPhone. Muchísimas gracias.